My name is Xtian Andrachnikov. I am the Senior VP Commercial at Sukhoi Civil Aircraft, and I am in charge of all sales and marketing across the product line which we are building up. And Sukhoi Civil Aircraft, I think, was born to produce and sell the best 100-seater regional jet in its, globally, and we really do. I believe our aircraft possesses features which this particular segment never seen before, being a quite technologically advanced piece of equipment, economically effective, and offering a great deal of luxury and comfort for our passengers to fly, which is quite important, because before that people considered the 100-seater as just a piece of metal carrying folks from point A to point B. We offered a really well-designed interior to accommodate people on board and make them feel quite comfortable while they aloft. On the top of it, as I mentioned, we are quite technologically advanced with the features built in, which again typically 100-seater regional jets do not have. That's why airliners always call us as the best aircraft complementary to Airbus fleet, and that shows as a most illustrative example to prove what just mentioned is one of our largest international clients is a private airline in Mexico called Interjet. Interjet employs 42 A320 and 30 Sukhoi Superjet 100, which by all means do complement the hub-to-hub narrow-body fleet, bringing people into the system of the airline. So, having said that, airliners, despite we are relatively new kid on the block versus our major competitors, airliners did start recognizing all those added value things we might bring up, and we're just dilating that bottleneck or artificially structured bottleneck of bringing the Russian civil aircraft product into the international markets. Just recently we completed a really big transaction with the Irish airline called EasyJet, and people love flying us. So we of course by all means is a global player, and some of our markets are quite focused. Some of them may be coming a little bit later as long as the infrastructure development follows. But being here in Africa first time, we strongly believe that's the market we need to really establish a very significant footprint. So, and we can see that the infrastructure, airport infrastructure, develops quite aggressively. There's a consuming power, grows up. So the fleet and the traffic, and we believe that specifically the topology of how the African states are, interrelated to each other, the network of airports are connected. The 100-seater, particularly SSJ 100, is a perfect fit into that system. That's the underlying reason why we made ourselves visible at the South African Air Show to really present the business case live. We of course keep ourselves developing organically in terms of the new product line to offer. And some of our deviations, if you may call it so, is a business jet, which you just can see across our chalet. And that's a very unique product as well, because only 3 players in the world produce aircraft equally used in the regional, or I mean say in a regular aviation and business jets mode. Boeing, Airbus doing Airbus corporate jets. Boeing does the BBJ, and Airbus and Embraer does Lineage 1000. So that's called, those ones called airliners. So we do belong to that group, quite tight one. But the metrics which really drives a decision to buy a private jet, either way it's for government purpose or a private use or corporate needs, the decision is driven through the simple metrics: price, range, and the cabin size. So within that perimeter, by weighting every particular point of that matrix at certain scale, I think at the bottom we will be the highest score. And again, that's one of the reasons we brought particularly business jet into African continent, because there are big G2G business in this country, and African governments fly a lot, and I think they will appreciate the product and service we can provide. Let's assume you have $1,000 to spend. You might buy a Mercedes as a sedan. For the same amount of money you can buy a sport utility vehicle or a minivan, right? So it depends or you'd like to buy a luxury sedan, or which might drive you much faster, so you need to spend more. It depends what your really needs are. So we believe that African governments often travel within the continent, and the distances they need to cover, very well suitable, or vice versa. The 100-seater aircraft, as far as size concerned, very well suitable for those kind of distances. So you don't need an oversized aircraft, which by definition is more expensive to buy and significantly more expensive to operate if you need to fly within, reasonably short distances. So the range we are talking about with the additional fuel tanks, this aircraft particularly can cover 6,000 kilometers. So of course, if you need, and I'm not talking about particularly, government related customers, anyone, if you'd like to buy from Johannesburg to New York, obviously our aircraft is not good enough. But that's going to cost you tens and tens and tens of extra $1 million, okay? But if you have your own kind of network where you fly more oftenly, you don't need, if you think economically effectively, you don't need to buy an extra capacity for an extra money. So that's the right size, and that's what we believe. And that's why we believe Sukhoi Superjet 100 in its business version as well really drives or strives for a great deal of success in this. It's easy. It's like you're buying an apartment, core shell, and then you're asking your designer to do whatever you want, right? So you have a room for creativity and needs, and it's a matter of taste. But we have already done a number of government-related sales in different countries, so we have already learned a kind of general requirements of governments across the world, and they're very close to each other. So we believe that we are capable and very well weaponed knowledge-wise what to offer to African governments to make sure that they, will get the maximum out of this aircraft. Anyways, any customer could say, look, I want this interior to be done like that. And we're in a service business. We follow our customers' needs, requirements, wish lists, whatever you call it. So we have all the capacities and capabilities to satisfy every customer's, need, concern, desire, you name it. Sportjet is quite sexy. Here we don't have anyone I can compare us against because we are the only one. It's a first mover advantage. So the idea came up to our minds just beginning of this year. Because if you look in professional sports and the pro athletes around the globe, this market is growing like crazy. Basically, the idea behind it is to design interior specifically designated for us athletes in order to have them to rest, recover, circulate, and sleep. So the specific seating section where athletes do sit during the flight. First of all, it offers a significant size pitch between seats. It's over 1 meter. So even for people like basketball players, it's good enough. It's a fully reclining seat, and it's quite comfortable in terms of the back support. It has that special panels built into the armrest, where they just put the arms on it and the foot on the floor, which have the same panels, and the pulsar measure device. So you put your finger into that. In 2 minutes, you get all your 5 major biometric parameters popped up on the screen. Not only that, but also the software automatically advises what should you do during your flight time in order to bring the parameters which fall out of the normal to bring them back in. Right behind the wall in the first section, you have a medical station where the medical staff sits, and it has a much bigger screen which highlights the biometrics of every single player sitting behind. So as a player, you can see only yours, and the medical staff could see everyone's. And then based on that, they decide what to do, either or, to have the athlete to sleep while we in the air, or maybe grab this one to go to the bicycle treadmill or go for a massage or other procedures. So it's up to the medical staff to decide based on the data which was pulled up. Also, we have designed individual lighting system. So some people like to fly and sleep feeling that they are flying through the night time. So it's going to be a lighting pretty much covering that, right? Or matching the nighttime. Or some others like a sunlight. So it's another story. Plus they have the individual programs to be run by the software. So some people like to play games, other folks would love to watch movies. So the individual entertainment system will accommodate or accomplish all those individual athlete needs. So it's like a spa for guys or ladies while they're flying, and they fly a lot, and they fly a lot. So we'd like to really, conquer African airspace in terms of that local carriers would enjoy operating our fleet, not just from the aesthetic standpoint, and passengers would love it, but also most significantly, most importantly, from the financial standpoint. Our aircraft could make money, and that's a key, and that's a key driver. So performance-wise, service-wise, load factor-wise, because people would love to fly this aircraft. We believe airliners, which will start surging in droves and staying in line for buying our aircraft in the nearest future, we strongly believe will never regret their choice. Sukhoi is an iconic brand, is well known around the globe, and believe me, Russia has managed one more time to prove to the rest of the world and itself that we still, and we will be for years to come, the most powerful aircraft manufacturing country in the world. We did maintain to have the tradition of that craft, culture, expertise, education, you name it. We showed the world how proud we could be of producing a very, very technologically complicated piece of equipment. I'm talking about Sukhoi. Apparently, we can manage to do civil ones. We love Africa. I think we're quite very friendly people, very open. In this regard, we feel quite comfortable because we live very far away from each other, distance-wise. But the tradition of Russian, Soviet Union, African relationship is quite long. By soul, by nature, we feel quite comfortable being in Africa. People very open, very smiley. Hospitality is great, easygoing. So we feel like at home. So we have already furnished our own motherland with Sukhoi. Now it's your turn.